being distinct, and probably once a particular thing is being thought about, your name is is one of the names or the first name that comes to mind when you're thinking about a particular thing. So standing out is you finding a way to be associated with excellence in a particular field or a particular niche based on what you do. This doesn't just um, it can also extend to other spheres of your life. Okay, but generally speaking, trying to be outstanding in whatever it is that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Wofai. So there are a lot of data analysts out there that are not really known. So finding out how you can be unique and very like differentiated with you is very, very important. Thank you so much again, Wofai. So let's hear from Anita. You ready? So can you share a personal experience where you consciously chose to stand out in a professional setting in the tech space and what was the outcome like?
Yes, there are lots of scenarios. I'm just trying to pick one. But to add on to what they said, number one is to stand out, you have to know your audience. So you cannot stand out without knowing the core of your niche, right? So whatever sector of tech that you choose to specialize, know it to the end. And then you can say, I want to stand out. Right? So you learn the rules. And for me, in a professional setting, how I chose to stand out it was something as small as airing my opinion because in the tech space, like Tina pointed out, a lot of us had to deal with imposter syndrome. So, and imposter syndrome silences you, tells you you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're saying. So, in a way, I chose to stand out in the work setting was to air my opinion and it wasn't necessarily a positive opinion, but I saw ways that things could go wrong if we don't tackle outside variables, and I had that right. It wasn't met with positivity because, like I said, it wasn't a good opinion at the time, but it gave us the opportunity to prepare towards that and we were able to tackle it. So yes, it wasn't good at first, but it helped us prepare for something that could, not be inevitable. So basically, every opinion is one way that you can stand out in anywhere and know your audience.
Put your hands together for her. Thank you so much, Anita. Now, talking about imposter syndrome, like I mentioned, this is a conversation. It is not like an interview, so we are conversing here. So, some of you think that imposter syndrome is what happens to only beginners. Let me shock you, I still have imposter syndrome, right? So, depending on what you're trying to achieve, depending on your own level, probably your own imposter syndrome is you're trying to get a job, during interviews, you're confused on what to say. I still have imposter syndrome, as how to face investors, sponsors. I still have imposter syndrome as to how to achieve certain things. So imposter syndrome is not just for beginners, but always tell yourself, just like Tina said, you're not a fraud. It seems like sometimes you're a fraud, but you're not a fraud, right? So let's hear from Ms. Joy. What are the practical ways or practical things that you had to do in the past that made you overcome imposter syndrome?
Okay, thank you so much for that. And hello, everybody. Um, Practical things I've had to do in the past to overcome imposter syndrome. Um, I'm going to start or tap into what Tina said during her presentation. The first thing is to have a strong support system because working or aspiring to be in an industry like the tech industry, sometimes it can, or most times rather, it can feel like a lonely journey. A lot of times it can feel daunting, right? But having that support system is something that would get you through those lonely days. It's something that will get you through when there's a voice in your head saying, "Oh, you can't do this," or "You're not good enough," or you don't meet up to the standard. I remember when I was starting out in tech, which was in my final year, and then I got out of school, and then I went head on into tech. It was a trying time for me, but I was able to scale through because as I had that support system, starting from my parents to my siblings to my friends. And I cannot say the same for some people who I was learning with at the time, because some people, I mean, some of us might be able to relate that sometimes, as much as your family can be your support system, they can also be the ones to be your, was it your, that's a block against you from getting to where you want to go through. Like, it's a two-way kind of thing. But I was really fortunate to have, that really strong support system from the people around me. So even at moments when I felt like, oh, I wasn't good enough, or I'm not doing this thing right, or I'm not seeing the impact, or I'm not getting the benefits immediately, I would lean on those people, and they would always be there to pick me up. Another thing that has also really helped me overcome imposter syndrome is also documenting my journey, right? Public learning is something I've also keyed into, right? And sometimes I journal too at times. So at moments when I feel like, oh, I'm not getting this thing right, I'm having a voice telling me, oh, I am not good enough, or I'm not, I'm a failure, right? I go back to things that I have documented. I go back to, um, you know, my journals, and it's not even just about seeking, public validation or whatever some people might target. It's just about having things that you can look back on and say, okay, this is an evidence that I'm good. This is an evidence that I am capable and I'm worth it. And I feel like if you implement some of these tips, it will definitely help you to overcome imposter syndrome. And yes, it's a long road, because imposter syndrome is something that happens to the best of us. You cannot really escape it, right? But with practical steps, with conscious efforts, you can definitely move past it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm talking about believing in yourself. So this is something I always like to tell people, especially ladies in tech. There's a lot of struggles for women, especially black women in tech. And one way you can have like a very good support system is to relate with your loved ones, the challenges that you're facing, right? Your friends, your family, right? And they need to understand the nature of what you're doing, right? If your, for example, your husband does not understand that if you have a remote job, you have to stay away throughout the night, might not be very much supportive as to when he really understands the struggle that you're facing. So it's really important that you communicate. And by the way, my family is here, my siblings, my nieces, my cousins are all here because they get to understand what I do, right? So getting support from your loved ones like a very good way to avoid or overcome imposter syndrome. Now let's go to, we've been talking about networking. What are the practical, this is for Emanuela, right? Emanuela is a software designer. I think for an Egyptian company. So yeah, so Emanuela, what are the practical, some people think that networking is hello, hi, and there are no goals, there are no strategies. What are like practical strategies as to how we can make meaningful networking happen? Yeah.
Okay, hi everyone. Um, I think one thing I would say is if you're an introvert like myself, I don't talk a lot. I don't go out a lot. However, I'm very strategic when I want to get what I want. So for instance, if I come to an event like this and I see that there are a lot of persons here that I can learn from, I just walk up to you, say hi, introduce myself, tell you what I do, let you know that I would like to work with you, even if it's not immediately, sometime in the future. And I think going straight to the point and telling you this is what I do, show you an example of things that I've accomplished, tell you what we can do together. I think that is what I would say because that is what I join most to me.
Awesome. So if you heard her very well, she mentioned She will always tell people what she does. So that's the thing she already has value, right? She has something that she's doing. Now, no matter what you're doing, doesn't matter. Even if you're a newbie, you can walk up to someone and say, I'm a newbie. There are people who are looking for interns and they're looking for newbies. They're not looking for experts. There are people who are looking for volunteers. Basically, people who they are looking for are newbies. They're not looking for experts most times, right? So understanding where you are will help you to exchange value easily. And one mistake that some people make when they are networking is to think that they always have to network upward, right? They always have to look for the people who they are bigger than, maybe the speakers, the panelists, the judges. They always look for those people. But if let's say you are a product designer, you can network downwards as well or sideways. There are people who you think you both and below you that will be very valuable to you in the future. So don't always network upward, right? Network upwards, sideways, and downwards. Are we clear? Awesome. Right. So let's look at this is like a very touchy topic, salary, and this is for they're laughing. This is for WOPI. How do you approach salary negotiations and advocating for yourself during performance reviews?
Okay, so for salaries, a lot of times it feels like we are scared, and I say we because I have found myself in that situation before. Okay, and what we found helpful was carrying out the research on how much is being paid for this particular thing in this particular industry. Okay, that's the first thing. Find out what is being paid for that particular role. Secondly, I reached out to someone who was a senior. Okay, when I was negotiating for my current role, I absolutely had no idea how to price food. So I reached out to my mentor and I'm like, what do I say? And he told me, okay, pick a range. You do not have to choose a specific value. Okay, so just tell them something like, in when I worked in this role for a previous company, or when I worked on something similar, I charged between this amount to this amount. Okay, trust me. Make sure it's big. Make sure it's big. Don't be scared. A lot of times they can afford it, and a lot of times you just price down yourself because you are really, really scared that you are going to miss the road, or yeah, you're going to just jump through. So it's also a great idea to speak to people that have gone before you. This is important because they are already earning more. What seems huge to you most likely will be very meager to them. And so this will help with your mind and your mindset, and it will help inform your decision because when you're like, okay, I want to price this job for $5 an hour, and you're seeing someone that's telling you, but you can get $15 an hour, and in your mind, you have not even carried that kind of amount yet. Okay, when someone says that to you, like, okay, let me try. And you can try this out, and even though they do not give you small amounts, it can band between whatever it is that you try to get. So I'm an advocate for pricing what you do properly. Price it properly. I used to freelance before I got into tech, and trust me, I used to earn at that time. I would write 1,000 words. Let me just put it out there. At that time, I would write 1,000 words for when I started about 2, 3, 4,000 naira. I was starting. I'll price it that way. But it got to a point where I realized that people were doing the same thing and were actually charging hard currency and people were paying. So I'm like, okay, let me try this out. And I tried it out and I decided to price my work in dollars. And I had people that actually agreed to pay. And I'm like, okay, now I started opening it up a little bit, pushing the boundaries until I got to the point where I knew, okay, I think this is fine. So you can also test the waters and see what will work for whatever it is you're doing. Also, you do not, I'm stressing this point because a lot of us do that. You do not have to price yourself small. If a particular person is not your client, it's fine. The person can jump and pass. Okay. But if you want to make money, like I want to make money, you have to be very strategic when it comes to your pricing or whatever it is you're doing. Build bill or like place that bill, give that bill. Don't be scared, okay? And trust me, you have clients out there that are willing to pay whatever for whatever it is you're offering at whatever rate you think you are worth. Okay, it's just about what you think of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So one thing I'm getting from what she said is the highest thing they can say is no. Nobody's gonna kill you for
Exactly.
stating something, stating what you're worth. So you should be able to know what you're worth, and you should be proud to always negotiate and state it. The highest thing they can always do is to do what
Say
say
no.
no, and they can't kill you, right?
Yeah.
So let's still talking about this, Anita. Has there been any scenario where you had to shrink down yourself, and how did it play out, and how were you able to finally overcome that stage?
Okay, yes, was a bit scary where I had to shrink myself. But mostly when I'm in a new environment, so like coming to a company or just being onboarded, I make it a point not to overshare my ideas. Because one thing I'm good at having ideas and how to keep up with that project. So I had to cocktail that mostly because I wanted to see, mindset or the structure behind the company before bringing my ideas. So that was one of the scenarios where I had to shrink myself. Another case was working with a particular boss. This kind of topics are kind of tricky. So I had to there's this rule of law book that said always give your boss accolades. So sometimes the work is my work, but I had to put it forefront that it was their work. Personally, it wasn't really good for me, my emotional state, because it's just like somebody else is doing. But I had to reorient myself and reorient my goal as to this person has a platform, I want that platform, and if this is what I had to do to shrink myself to get there, I had to do it. So that was the mindset I had to give myself. However, shrinking yourself in a space where you don't see any room for growth is not advisable, right? But if you can reorient your goal, reorient your mind as to what is your goal in this particular system or company that you're seeing yourself, and I have to cocktail. And they might say this thing happens to women a lot than men. I would say I would have a controversial thing to say it's not true. It's just um, knowing who you are, knowing your worth and what it takes for you to get there. And when you get there, you shine. So that was my own personal situation. I was having to shrink myself and having to hold back my ideas and let somebody else take the light. It was very cool for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anita. Please start getting your questions ready because the session will soon be getting to close. So I'm going to be getting to Joy. Joy is works with the guys at the top. She's the GMTT community manager for Port Harcourt branch, and the whole GMTT is being sponsored by the Nigerian government, right? So if you're a business here, a business woman, I want her to. We are going to touch more of this in tomorrow's VIP session, but I want her to like give us a glimpse of what are these government organizations looking out for when it comes to supporting business that are done by women. What do you think women can do differently to be able to get support from the government?
Okay, great question. What can women do differently? Um, I think I would say that it still revolves around all of the discussions and all of the presentations that have been, going on from the onset of this event. For you to garner support, and in this case, well, I'm not representing any government here, just as a disclaimer, right? So, for you to garner support, whether from a government official, from a private investor, or even all round. First of all, you need to have proof of work, right? You cannot be asking for support in form of whether grants or any other form of support when you do not have something to show for it. You do not have proof of work. You do not have, that evidence that you are actually, whether making impact in some way. Um, Yesterday, I spoke at the Borderless 3.0 event, which is a Web3 conference. And whilst the convener of that event, Mrs. Carla, was speaking, she was telling her story as to how she started her, you know, her business, right? Her company. And she spoke about how, she was looking for investments, specifically from the, I think, Algorand Foundation, right? And she shared how she had, put in an application, she had reached out, and despite just starting out and not having, I don't know, the person who, I think, KMU was asking if people, you would choose, money or impact. And in a way, sometimes you cannot even make impact without money, right? You need that fund to be able to make some sort of impact that will, have grounds, really touch people's lives. So she shared how she was looking forward to getting, the investment, a grant from the Algorand Foundation, and, she had not heard from them, and it was running into weeks and months. But she didn't want her goal to die. She didn't want to just kill that idea just because she was dependent on funds and, what she would get from the foundation. And she went ahead, she forged ahead to continue to, you know strive towards her goal, regardless of how, small or the impact was that she was making. And she started with her personal funds, doing what she can with, within her means, and she eventually got the support that she needed from the foundation. So my point is, it might be challenging to actually garner support because there's a lot of both the business angle to it and maybe the political angle to it when it comes to getting that needed support from the government or even from a private investor. But you shouldn't let that kill your goal. You shouldn't let that kill your ambition. You should try to do what you can, and most importantly, get that social proof. Have Be able to make impact from where you are. Have testimonials. Have things to show for what you're doing, and of course, network. Right. Just to add to what the speaker also said when she was asked the question around networking, there's something I do when I realized the importance of networking and became intentional about it. There's something I do whenever I plan to attend events, and just to say that attending events has been very instrumental in my tech journey. And whenever I plan to attend an event, I would look at the lineup of speakers or, just people I intend that are, supposed to attend that event. I would research them beforehand. For example, you can see all the beautiful faces of the women outlined there on the banner. I would research them. I'll look at what they're doing. I'll see how it aligns to, you know, the career I'm building and how I can connect with them. Because one rule of thumb of networking is that, you have to make small talk, but you also have to be able to go deeper, to be able to actually connect with someone. And how can you do that if you don't know what their profile is all about, if you don't know what you're building? So, of course, have social proof, network a lot, and I believe all of these things would help you to, garner that support you're looking for in scaling your business upwards.
Thank you so much, right? I know you are so interested in this topic because it has to do with raising funds, right? We are going to be having more of this in the VIP session. I think there are few slots remaining. The MC is going to talk about it. So if you want to learn about how to raise funds for your business, or even beyond the government phase, you should be able to register for the VIP. So this is the final question that is going to Mrs. Claire and Manuela. So, talking about continuous learning, right? People, a lot of people, or a lot of women, right, think that you just have to do something. Maybe after 2 weeks, 1 month, then you're good. You're now a CEO, you're now doing well. Is that true, or are there things that you have to keep doing for you to let it work properly.
Um, Continuous learning is as important as growth. If you want to grow in tech, if you want to grow in any sector, you need to keep learning. Um, for me, I in fact, I'm one person that jumps almost all career paths. I went from learning to code, UI, UX, digital marketing, content writing. But one thing I did peculiar was that for every learning phase, I would start and I would finish. Even if I find it boring at some point. Because presently I run Teach Right Academy, an online school that equip African teachers with digital skill. And honestly, if I had not gone through all the phases of learning, I would not be able to do what I do or do what we do at Teach Right Academy. So learning is something that is very, very important. You cannot sweep past it. You just have to keep learning, and at every stage, you need to keep learning. And sometimes we think that for us to learn, you must enroll in a structured learning program, especially if you want to be consistent. Sometimes it's not always like that. You can take out time to look out for open source courses. There are actually free resources online. People actually put out tangible materials on LinkedIn, on Facebook. You can learn a whole lot. There are actually ideas that I put in my business that I got from a med post. I let me not use the word med post because to me it was a master class section. So as much as you can, please continue learning. And for every program or course you take up, ensure you finish, even when you find it very boring.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Claire. So, Emanuela, I'd like you to just add a few points to that. Thank you.
Thank you. So she has said basically everything. However, what I would like to add um, there's no growing without learning, right? And in learning, there are different ways we can learn. Like she said, not necessarily going through the courses that you need to sit down and start taking and learning. No. For me, I like to take on roles challenges. That's how I go. Right? And I like to interact with people that I think are better than me because I learn faster than me. So if I get a new role, get maybe I will have to level up or like make researches on new technologies. I jump on it, not because of the money, but because I want to learn and I want to be updated. That also helps me stand out because I think by the time you speak again and telling you, oh yeah, I know how to do it, and keep on doing how. I didn't necessarily sit down to take a course. I just did a few researches, some interactions, take up some roles. I mean, I didn't really need it, but because I wanted to learn. Yes, that's how.
Thank you so much. Put your hands together for them. What we're learning, I'm also learning. This is an amazing conversation. So, do you have questions? Because of time, we're going to take in just one question. So, who is the lucky person? So, you just ask your question. Who are you asking the question? Who are you directing the question to? And then after now, just like I think one of us said, okay, Miss Claire said that she learned something from a post, men post, right? So follow thought leaders, follow them online, right? You don't need to go and start bothering them to mentor you. How you gain mentorship is by following them and following their content, basically, right? So let's have the long person question.
Right, so it's not two questions.
Oh, okay.
But this is the one. Alright, so the first question says, and it's not directed to us, it was I need to select to answer that question. Give us tips on how we can actually land jobs, especially freelance jobs after learning.
This is long one. Like, okay, so Emanuela, let's put that question to Emanuela.
Okay, so one thing I would say is you have to put yourself out there, right? And I can encourage my trainees
when you start learning something, please talk about it, show what you have done, because it gets the attention of people that you don't even know are looking or are watching, right? And aside that, look for internship roles, a lot of internship roles. I think most people want to learn and just get a job. Honestly, it doesn't really work like that. You might be lucky, yes. However, you actually get those roles from volunteering. My very first role where I would end outside the Naira was really, the money was really small, right? But then I was doing the job because I wanted to show my work, right? And at a point, I had proven myself, and then I was like, this is what you're going to pay me. And if you don't pay me this, I will quit. And at the end of the day, I got a raise. So I would say before you can think that okay, I want a big job, you need to first of all put yourself out there, and then you need to work to show your skills, not because you want the money, but because you want to prove yourself first. And once you do that, I mean, from there you are going up. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madeline. Second question.
Okay, so this question is directed at our Dikame profile. So it says, how are you able to balance fast pace or text pace as a tech mom and this fact that she wants to be present as a mom and still excel in tech?
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. I want to do something. I want to stand up, even though everybody is sitting down. And I already have your attention. You already all focused on me because you don't know what I want to do. I really don't have anything to do, right? But just the mere fact that I got up is different because everybody is sitting down. So that little step has been a game changer for me. You would never forget me when it comes to this final discussion. Why? Because I did something different. So that's like I learned really early on. And what I do is if I have a little time to work on a little project, I try my best to do it very well. And I try my best to position it in such a way that when you see it, it jumps at you, so you will not forget that. So if you have anything coming up, you won't forget it. That's one. Secondly, I have a lot of help. I'm not superhuman. I have a lot of help. I have friends, I have family that are very, very supportive. I have a nanny that is very, very supportive. So that when it comes to my family, my kid, my mom is also really, really supportive. So I know that I can leave my child in good hands for the few times when I'll be unavailable. Yeah? Also, I like to set goals and know that okay, I'm going to do this from this time to this time, and I try my best to stick with it. Sometimes it's difficult, and sometimes when people are sleeping for 8, 10, 12 hours, I get to sleep for just 4 hours because I know that I don't have as much time compared to a lot of people. Also, another thing I did was I know I'm married, I know I have a kid, I know I have less time. So when I started learning, I decided I'm very intentional when it comes to picking my friends and networking. So I decided to be closer to people that I know were single or were did not have kids and just watch their progress and ask how they did. When we started learning together, we started together in 2022. At that time, it used to take me about a month to finish a data camp course. Then I started just with Tina and I'm like, how far? She says she finishes one in, I think 1, 2 days. I'm like, how are you doing it? It's taking me 1 month to finish one. And she's like, I don't have a computer. I have to. She was literally working like 24 hours and not even kidding. You know, so I'm like, okay, this is how she's doing it. And so I decided to implement it. I'll be truthful. I never got to finish a course in 1 day, 2 days, right? But it cut it down significantly from 1 month to 4 days. So I started finishing courses in 4 days because the person I spoke to told me that, oh, it was possible. I can finish one in 1 day, 2 days. So even though I could never get to that point, but at least I was able to get it down to 4 days. And that was when I saw that that was possible. I was like, okay, this is what this person is doing. So you're also very, very, you also go far based on the information that you have and the people you try to network with and the information you try to assimilate. That will help you a lot. You see people that tell you it's not possible, you have to try your best to run away from those people. It is always ask, how are you getting it done? Look for people that are getting it done and follow their path. Whatever they're doing, try your best. So even if you do not hit their target, somehow you will find among the stand with facing. So thank you so much.
Stand out for. Exactly. Thank you so much. Let's take a quick picture with the panelists before we go talk about that. Photographer, are you ready?
Do we come closer?
Okay. Now, photographers, please let me give you a picture of panelists.
Right, thank you. Right.
Very places, you have people that you're not saying things that are abstract, so you're saying things that are very related to our different levels and personal spaces. So let's put our hands again. Let's put our hands together once again for the panelists. That was awesome. All right, now we're moving on to the Google Meet session. Let's stay tuned and attentive.